Hey guys, so I am so excited to be sitting down and filming this video. I'm going to be doing a full face of Pat McGrath, and I'm going to be going through like all the products that I have and using products that I love, using products that I don't love so much, and kind of giving you my thoughts on everything, and even talking about some of the products that I may not even have on hand anymore. So what makes this video so exciting is that I'm actually collabing with 6 other YouTubers, all YouTubers that I love, that I adore, that I watch regularly, that I am so humbled to be working with today. And the gist of this collab and the theme of this collab, of course, is Pat McGrath, but each one of us is going to be doing a different eye look based on a different palette. So I'm going to be covering the Sublime palette, which is the Mothership 2 palette. Kelsey Brianna J is going to be covering the Mothership 1 palette, which is the Subliminal palette. And here is a picture of her look. I cannot wait to see her video and how she achieves this look because it is beyond. Morgan Turner is going to be covering Mothership number 3, which is the Subversive palette. This palette is challenging because this palette has a lot of really exciting and not everyday kind of colors, and if anyone can pull it off, it's Morgan. I cannot wait to see her video also. And then Chelsea from Glam Girl Chelsea, she is going to be covering Mothership 5, which is the Bronze Seduction palette. We skipped over 4, which is the Decadence palette, because that one was limited edition and then came back as the Star Wars palette. That has sold out. So anyway, we just decided to skip over that. So Chelsea is going to be covering number 5, which is Bronze Seduction, which is one of my personal all-time favorites. It's beautiful. Chelsea's beautiful. And the look that she did looks absolutely amazing. And then my girl Alicia over at Kinky Sweat. Alicia is a good friend of mine. I have met her now a couple of times. We've collabed. She's just the best. She's the absolute best. She just has such a good vibe, and she's going to be covering number 6, Midnight Sun, which I think is kind of like a sleeper hit. I feel like when that came out, it didn't get a lot of hype, but I remember Alicia was like, I love this palette. And I was like, you know what? I love this palette too. It's so different. It has such a unique color story. Anyway, Alicia rocks that palette. So I'm so excited that she's going to be showing you a look with that one. And then Mel Thompson. You guys know I'm such a huge fan of hers. We've collabed before in the past. We talk often. She is going to be talking about Mothership number 7, the Divine Rose, which I think that palette could be my favorite, and I couldn't think of a better person to work with that palette. Mel does the most amazing eye looks. So I can't wait to watch her video to see how she achieved that gorgeous, gorgeous look. And finally, last but not least, Tara Lynn is going to be using the Blitz Astral quads. So those 3 quads that came out, I'm not exactly sure if she's using one, all 3, a few from each. I don't know exactly what she's doing, but she's another YouTuber. Every time I watch her, I'm like mesmerized by the looks that she comes up with. She has the most beautiful eyes. I just love Tara so much. So of course, I'm going to have all of their videos linked down below. Please don't forget to check them out. I love each and every one of them so much. Again, I'm going to be doing the Mothership 2 palette, the Sublime palette. I'm coming at you with a bare face. I'm sure you can tell. I guess the first thing I should talk about is the primer. So Pat McGrath came out with a primer when she came out with her foundation. Was that it? Oh, and powder, and loose powder. So the primer I actually purchased. I used it a couple times and I returned it. I just didn't think that there was anything special about that primer at all. It had a slight silicone kind of texture to it. It was a little bit slick, so that's not really my kind of primer already. It was kind of like a smoothing primer, and I like primers that are basically like a moisturizer. Like, I just need more hydration and more moisture for my dry skin. So I returned it. It just didn't do anything for me. I felt like the packaging was also really cheap. It was super light. The sticker was coming off. I just felt like it was kind of a ripoff. So that product of Pat McGrath's, definitely not my favorite. So I'm going to forego primer. I'm just not going to use any. I'm going to jump right into foundation. And I have the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation. This is the only foundation she has in her line, and I have it in the shade Light 6. It's funny. I really don't have strong feelings about this foundation either way. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. It is a foundation that has a very light but buildable coverage, which I actually like. That's probably my favorite part of this foundation, is the coverage. The texture of it is very thin, and I don't necessarily mind like a thin consistency to a foundation, but this seems just kind of like watery, and I'm not the biggest fan of that. But what I don't like about this foundation is that after a few hours of wear, I just feel like I can kind of feel it on my skin. My skin starts to feel a little bit tight, and because I have dry skin, it's just not my favorite. So I don't mind the way this foundation like looks on my skin. I think it actually looks fine. I just don't like the way it feels. So that's why I feel like I just never really reach for it. I have so many other foundations that I think look great, feel great, and have other benefits like, you know, SPF in there, or it feels nourishing to the skin, or it has skincare benefits, you know, other things, where this one just doesn't have any of that. And then on top of it, it just doesn't feel that great. So there it is on my skin. This foundation has a very skin-like appearance, and any radiance you see, I think, is the moisturizer I had on underneath. We've got quarantine nails going on here. Please don't judge. I had to remove my gel polish with my dog's Dremel. So anyway, moving on, let's move over to concealer. So this is probably the newest, one of the newest products from Pat McGrath. So this is her Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Concealer, and I have it in shades L6 and L7. So I'm gonna use L6 underneath my eyes, and I'm gonna use L7 to kind of spot conceal on my face. I really, really like this concealer. I just started using it over the past week, and I was skeptical. I didn't really have a high opinion of the foundation, but this concealer is very, very nice. And again, because I have dry skin, I have mature skin concerns, this is a very high coverage concealer. And so I was really worried that it was going to look very cakey underneath my eyes. So I'm just dabbing a little bit kind of around my eye area. As long as I keep it light, I find this concealer to look very flawless underneath my eyes. It doesn't cake, it doesn't look dry. It also stays put like all day. So I'm very happy with this concealer, but I did notice when I was kind of playing around with it that if you add, I think, personally, this was my experience, that if you add too much of this concealer down, it will look a little bit cakey, like underneath your eyes. So that was the experience I had. Again, I have really dry skin. I have to be careful when it comes to under eye concealers. Oh, I just realized I used my BK Beauty foundation brush, which I love, and it's what I reach for to blend in my concealer when I'm feeling really lazy. But the Pat McGrath brush that came out with the concealer system, I actually really enjoy. It's very, very hard and dense, so when I kind of tap it over the concealer to blend it in instead of swiping, I think it really works the concealer in very, very nicely. So I enjoy this brush very, very much. Like I mentioned, I have the L7, and I'm gonna use that to spot conceal some of these darker sunspots on my face. And you know what's interesting, because I haven't been out that much lately, I feel like these are kind of fading. One good thing about this quarantine. All right, so a big thumbs up for the Pat McGrath concealer. I think it looks really, really flawless underneath the eyes, and it has a very high coverage, and I feel like that is a combination that is very, very hard to achieve. Okay, powders. So she has two kinds of powder. She has a loose powder, and then she has this new like under eye blurring powder, which is more of like a pressed powder. The loose powder came out with her foundation. And so I got the, you know, the foundation, the primer, and the powder. The powder I really did not like. No matter how I used it, when I used it with what, it just made my skin look very, very dry. So that was a big fail for me. But this under eye blurring powder is, I think, phenomenal. So I have the shade light here. I also have medium, which is more of a flesh tone, but I think the light looks a little bit better, especially underneath my eyes. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my Sonia G Designer Pro brush, and I just tap it right on top, and I pick up a very light layer of this. And when I did my video talking about this powder and the concealer and everything, I mentioned the packaging and how, you know, it feels a little chintzy. And then many of you talked about how there's just not enough compact to kind of like catch any kind of like powder that comes out. Like it's just, it gets very, very messy. I don't have that issue. I don't know if it's because I'm not going in with like a big powder brush and kind of like going hard with it. I've been sticking with brushes like this and the Wayne Goss airbrush are the brushes that I've been using with this. And so I really haven't had any kind of, like issues like that. So there is the light powder underneath my eyes. Very, very brightening. As you saw, that powder is like almost like white, but it does this really beautiful like kind of blurring. So I really like this under eye blurring powder. And I did not like the Pat McGrath loose powder. And since I don't have the Pat McGrath loose powder, I returned that along with the primer since it did not work for me. I'm gonna go ahead and set my face with a different powder. I just have my Kogan Do Brightening Moisture Powder, which I really love. And so I'm just gonna set my face with this. Okay, so Pat McGrath doesn't have any bronzers or blush, right? Yeah, she doesn't have any bronzers or blush. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I will be back to put on some highlighter. All right, so I have got the Pat McGrath Highlighter Trio. Is that the full name? Sublime Skin Highlighting Trio Highlighter Palette. I really enjoy this highlighter palette. It is, for me, not exactly an everyday kind of highlight, so I don't reach for it often, but the glow that it gives your skin, it's so smooth. So there's 3 baked highlighters in here. So there's like one that has like an iridescent pink to it, one that has like kind of a gold shift, and then this bronze one. I generally kind of just use this one in the middle. Maybe I'll throw a little, you know, like I'll tap my brush on this once to warm it up a little bit. The pink, I don't generally use. I don't use a lot of pink highlight. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the center one here. And I've got my Sonia G Sculpt 2 brush, and I'm just going to sweep it down onto my cheekbone here and kind of work it in. It's definitely on the golden side. So again, I love these highlighters, but they're just not kind of like an everyday highlight for me, but they are really, really beautiful. Just gives your skin that like really wet kind of reflect there. And I'm just gonna take the same brush and just dip it into the bronze one just a little bit, and then just kind of tap it way back here and just kind of add a little shimmer to the bronze areas. All right, so that is the highlighting palette that I very much enjoy from Pat McGrath. She also came out with these little tubes of highlighting. They were kind of like a highlighting cream. I bought those and I did not like them at all. They just weren't smooth, and people kept telling me to use it on your eyes and use it here, and I was like, no matter where I use it, it's not smooth. So I ended up decluttering those because I had passed the window to return them. Anyway, not a big fan of those. Was not a big fan of like the packaging either. So I was a little bit disappointed. Those were just really lackluster, especially compared to her powder highlights, which are just so beautiful. All right, so Pat McGrath doesn't have any eyebrow products, right? Yeah, I don't think she has any eyebrow products. So I was going to use my Chanel brow palette, the duo one with the wax and the powder. But because I'm using the Sublime eyeshadow palette, I'm thinking maybe I'll use this powder, this eyeshadow as brow powder. Is that a really bad idea? Probably. Let's try it. So I'm going to use my Chantecaille eyeliner brush, but it's just a really flat, angled, like definer brush. I just want to make sure there are no shimmers in here, right? Yeah, this is a matte. I don't want shimmery brows. I just don't know if this is dark enough. I could maybe mix it with the black, but I just have some of the brown on here. Let's see how this looks. I think I would prefer it to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to just tap really lightly into the black and then back into the brown. Woo! All right, let me take a spoolie and work that out. I think it looks okay. Once I added the black in, it kind of cooled the brown down, which is what I think it needed. Yeah, I don't think that looks bad. Okay, all right. Let me do that again. Just once into the black, a couple times into the brown. Not bad, huh? All right, now we're moving on to the eyeshadow. So again, I'm doing the Sublime palette. And again, each of us are doing a different palette. I really should have sat down to figure out what I was gonna do, but I definitely want to incorporate the green. I think most people would concur that that is like the standout shade in this palette. I'm just gonna go in with the green. I kind of want to put it all over my lid, and then maybe we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. So I'm gonna grab my Sonia G Worker 1 brush, and I'm gonna go right into this green shade. And I'm gonna focus that. Oh, good golly. Her eyeshadows are just amazing. I know I should probably be talking about my feelings on the eyeshadows, but I think you guys know. I love her eyeshadows. They are so special. I'm gonna see if I can do like a little wing with this eyeshadow. Oh, this is gonna be a disaster. I've got my Esom S31 brush, which is like a little definer brush. I'm hoping to use that to kind of draw the wing. It's a good thing I'm not going anywhere today. Ooh, maybe I should go somewhere today. I'm gonna grab the same S31 brush and I'm gonna go into this gold shade here and I'm gonna put this in the inner corner here and then line the inner portion of my lower lash line with it. Oh, you know, just a real everyday, simple, casual, brunch, running errands kind of look. I'm gonna go ahead and use my finger. I'm gonna go into this shade down here, which has this like light pinky purple shift to it. And I wanna see like what happens if I tap this over the green right here. Oh, it's kind of pretty. It added like a little bit of dimension there. I'm gonna take my Sonia G Blender Pro brush. Do I wanna, I mean, this isn't really a look where you like have a transition shade, but I do feel like some of the black from the green shadow is kind of came off. You know, like when I was blending it, some of it like ended up over here. Can you guys see that? So I'm going to use this. I'm going to go into this shade actually. I think this is like a Skin Show shade and it's flesh tone, but there's like a satin sheen to it. And I just want to brush that like over the top edge of the green. Maybe I will try and blend that top edge out. I'm gonna use again this Blender Pro brush and I'm gonna go into this shade down here just really, really lightly. And I'm gonna brush this just over the top edge of the green. Just kind of use that to blend out a little bit. Okay, I think that's all I'm gonna do for eyeshadow. I just love this green shadow so much. It's just, oh my God, it's so cool, isn't it? I love how it's sitting in that really sooty black. All right, let's move on to eyeliner and mascara. So Pat McGrath's like gel eyeliners, I really enjoy. I have probably almost all of them. I actually took out the Blitz Blue in case I did something else and I wanted to give it a little bit of color. I don't think I need to do that with this particular eye look. So I have the Extreme Black and I'm gonna use this to tightline and waterline and everything. And this eyeliner I find pretty much stays put until like the end of the day. I find that it smudges a little bit, but for like the majority of the day, it really, really stays put and it applies really easily. And it's a really good one. So this is the Extreme Black. So I'm gonna apply it to my waterline here, just the whole thing. I feel like I need more green shadow on my lower lash line. I'm gonna grab this Pencil 2 brush from Sonia G and really come down with that green. Okay, I think I like that better. It just looks a little bit more like balanced. All right, so we did eyeliner. Let's move on to mascara. So let me curl my lashes and I can tell you how I feel about the mascara. So she has her Fetish Eyes mascara. And I'm not a fan. It flakes on me, it goes on nicely, but then within, if I remember correctly, because I have not used it in a long time, within a couple of hours, I feel like it flakes. And it doesn't smudge or anything necessarily, I just end up with like bits of it all on my face, almost like eyeshadow fallout. And at first I remember I thought, you know, maybe it was eyeshadow, but then I quickly realized that it was the mascara. And I had a normal size tube, like a regular size tube of it. And then I went out and I purchased this smaller one, like travel size one, thinking, you know, maybe it's a little bit different, maybe it'll be better. It's not. It's not better. Let's go ahead and apply it. So this is in the only color I think that's available, which is black. And it has this natural haired bristle brush, which I really like. But yeah, just there's something about the mascara formula that just doesn't work for me. And that's 2 coats. It doesn't even do that much for my lashes. You can, I mean, it's hard to tell because I have such heavy eyeshadow on. Yeah, it just doesn't even do that much. It definitely doesn't help them curl, which is one of the things that my lashes needs. Not a fan of the mascara, unfortunately. All right, Pat McGrath lipsticks. I love her lipsticks. I think I have all of her different formulas. I have some of her matte trans lipsticks. These are the first ones that came out, and this one is McNemone. This is one of the originals. Now, what I want to show you is, as much as I love this packaging, these older ones are pretty much broken. Like, they all do this. They don't actually, there's lipstick in there. They don't actually turn up. It's like I have to do this like crazy thing to try and get it to stick. It's basically because this has just kind of come apart. It's like they've all just done this and it's so annoying. Oh, here's her Luxe Trans. So these are her satin finish lipsticks. This one is Sextrology. I think I want to try something dark. So goth. So Matte Trans, Luxe Trans. And then I do have some of her like Lip Fetish Sheer Color Balms. This one is in Ultra Vixen, but I think I have most of those as well. I really like the balms. They feel really nice on the lips. I have a lot of tinted balms in my collection. These are probably, I don't know, they kind of rank in the middle because they don't feel exceptionally balmy on my lips. They don't feel exceptionally nourishing. They do feel very comfortable and they do feel like a balm. But I have ones in my collection that I think feel a little bit better. And then the colors of her balms are okay. I don't think any of them are like, wow, like I absolutely love them. So those are the balms. And then I have some of these Blitz Trance lipsticks. And these are the ones that came in like the glitter bullet. These are a lot of fun. These I really, really like. This one is in color Flesh Fatale. And they have like little glittery bits in there, really pretty, a lot of fun. Enjoy those. And then I also purchased these Lip Fetish lip balms in this like black packaging, which is like my absolute favorite. So this one is in Noir, and this was like a gray color balm. It just basically cools down your lips. Oh, here's a matte trans. Let's see if this, okay. So here's a matte trans lipstick. I can tell that this is like shaky though. This is the color Omi. So you can see like the matte finish of the bullet. They're just so, so cool. And her lipsticks were like one of the first ones to come out with this like really unique matte formula. So I really do love her lipsticks, her lipstick formulas. I really like the Luxe Trans ones. Those are probably my favorite. They're just really pigmented, colorful. I love the color range. Absolutely gorgeous. But I wanted to wear this McNemone, but I'm annoyed that I can't get this up. It needs Viagra. I finally got it up. I had to take that gold thing off and then use a makeup wipe to hold this. And then I could kind of twist these. So I'm going to use McNemone. I'm not going to use a lip liner because I don't have a lip liner from Pat McGrath that matches this color, but I really enjoy her lip liners as well. I feel like almost every color. I actually took out Supernatural in case I was gonna do a nude, which I still could, but I do want to try a dark lip color since we have so much makeup going on. So let me try this first and then we'll see if we need to change to a nude. I'm gonna take a lip brush and try and clean this crazy lower lip line up because it's awful. All right, well, here's my final look. I am just so ready to stay home all day in this makeup look. It's so springy. Oh yes, there is a product of Pat McGrath's that I haven't talked about that I want to mention, and those are her lip glosses. I have not tried her newest lip gloss, which is the Opulust gloss. I think those have like a really like high shine, maybe duochrome, and there's like little micro glitters in there. I did not get those. I just didn't think they were lip glosses that I was going to use very often. But her regular lip glosses, I love. I have almost, I think, every single one of them. They're so, so beautiful. They're like the special shades in her eyeshadow palettes. They're just always kind of unexpected. There's always like a little shift to them. Little micro glitters like give off a little bit of a sheen. She does have ones that just are kind of like a solid color, but the ones that have like a little something to them are just so much fun, and they're so great on their own. They're great like topped over another lip color. Love them, absolutely love them. I think that's it though. I think that's it for all the Pat McGrath that I have tried, which is I think almost everything. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this very natural, casual look. And please don't forget to check out everyone else's video. I cannot wait to watch theirs and see how they achieved their looks. They are all so beautiful and they're so talented when it comes to makeup. I feel like I learned something new every single time I watch all of them like apply their makeup. So I'll have all of those linked down below in my description box. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.